Hey, what's up everyone? I want to show you this website that I think is really awesome. It's a free site that some guys in Europe put together as a gift to the world. It's called Origin Stamp, and it provides the most robust method of electronic time stamping that I've ever seen. So if you have a file and you want to prove that you had it before a certain time, maybe you wrote a script or you took some pictures of a rental property, it's difficult to prove that you had the file prior to a certain date. Obviously, a saved on date doesn't work because that's easy to manipulate. And so you have to find something that everyone can agree is a sound method of proving its existence. Origin Stamp tackles this using the Bitcoin blockchain. And this is really creative because the blockchain is impossible to modify historically, and it's very difficult to make go away. Users all over the world are constantly maintaining its integrity. So this site basically just ties together a couple ideas in a creative way to validate your files and embed them in the blockchain, so that it can be there as long as the blockchain's around. And they're open about what they're doing, meaning if Origin Stamp were to suddenly disappear, you could actually take the information they provide you when you record your file and prove its existence even without Origin Stamp. I'm going to give an example of a real basic JPEG file that I've made. It clearly shows that my presidential prediction is here, and I filled out the states which way I think are going to be going in which direction. And so what I've done is I've saved this file, and I'm going to have it validated on using their system. So I'm going to drop the file in here by just clicking on their homepage. Right click and bring that in. Now you'll see here it generates a long hash here. Now this is very important. It uses SHA-256 method for hashing. Now this can be done on any site. Here's a different site that I will bring up here as let's see here. So here's one, just a MD5 file converter. I'm going to take my same file and bring it in here. And you'll see here it has it a couple different ways, but the SHA-256 generates the same output, ends in 5D89. 5D892 website's completely unrelated. If you bring in the exact file, it should always give you the exact same long hash string. Now if you change a single thing in this file, the name, some little text, by 1 byte, it will generate a completely different hash. But with this particular hash, it says, do you want to send this anonymously or by email? To me, I don't think it matters. I don't think they have any reason to save your information if it's private. But there's your hash. You can say, I'm going to create a timestamp. So you create timestamp. It says, great. There's your full hash there, which should be the same as we had before, 5D89. Great. Now what this does is it's not going to send this to the blockchain until a certain time. It does it once a day, and it sends a whole group of hashes. And to see how that works, I'm going to have to pause this video for about probably a day or two and come back and show how this was eventually logged into the blockchain. But for now, that's how all you need to do. You just need to come back later and check on it. Okay, it's been a few days and I am returning to Origin Stamp to verify the submission of the hash of my JPEG file. So I'm going to click on Verify Stamp. And like when I originally submitted, I could drag my file in here, or I can click on this little lightning bolt and paste in the exact text of my hash. Here it is again, 5D89, verifying. Excellent, it verifies that it was submitted, gives me full detail of it. So if you just trusted Origin Stamp, you could leave it at that. But I think it's pretty cool to dig into the weeds here and know exactly what they did so that you could verify it even on your own. So what they did was they post this transaction seed, and this is a long string of text here. It's only getting longer as more people find out how awesome the site is. And I'm going to paste this into a notepad, and this is each one of these groups here represents someone's submission for the day. So it looks like, I don't know, 100 by 2, so 200 submissions for the day. Mine's included in there. Let's do a quick search. Remember, mine ended in 5D89, so I'm going to do a search for that. All that. Sure enough, there's my full hash included in there. So my hash is a key component of this entire glob of data. So what they next did is that with that whole glob of data, they then took that and hashed that value using SHA-256. Well, instead of taking their word for it, let's find out if that's true. So I'm going to do a Control A, Control C. I'm going to go to some other website and dump in this text. Here we go, same one. Calculate. and we'll start with 1A1, ends in 7461, and 1A1 7461. Cool. So we've validated independently how they got the secret key, and the secret key could not have been derived with this value without my original hash. Now what they do next is they use base 58 encoding to create a Bitcoin address. I'm not going to lie to you, I don't know exactly what that means, but there's certainly lots of documentation about base 58 encoding, but I did figure out how to consistently duplicate this process. One is on Brain Wallet. Let me bring it over here. Brain Wallet here. And I click on generator, and I actually need to enter the secret exponent is what we're looking for here. And so again, we'll grab the hashed version here. So we'll take, again, the hashed hash of our data, paste it in here, 1A1 7461, and this has to be compressed, and then it generates an address of 1PN ending in EQ6. Checking back here, 1PN EQ6. Awesome. So we can now follow exactly with it. Once we got this transaction seed, we don't need origin stamp anymore to figure out how they arrived at this address. So I'm going to just make sure they actually submitted it. I'm going to copy that address, go out to the blockchain, which is easy to do a search for this address, and boom, here we have it. Address has one transaction that was confirmed on November 3rd. I was surprised it took this long, and so I actually asked the developers, and they said they have their transactions kind of on a low priority, which helps them keep their costs down, which makes total sense. If you want to have an expedited transaction, you can afford to pay the dollar that they charge to get it in, and that will log it within 10 minutes. I think that's very reasonable. But here we can see that this address did receive a transaction by this date that really does serve as proof that I had this file by this date. Again, how this would serve as proof, I mean, I don't know how this would hold up in a court of law. You'd probably need to get a math professor to testify, but you have a pretty convincing case. You have a Bitcoin address with activity on it. You have the secret key, which not everyone would have, although it's pretty widely known since it's on the web. This secret key is clearly comprised of your file. Your file is part of this transaction seed. Without my file in here, it would not have equaled the same value. So the nature of SHA-256 is that it is a one-way function. It is easy for any computer to take a starting value and end at this value right here. What's impossible is to do the reverse order. In other words, take an ending value and figure out what components were used via an SHA-256 to generate this output. This is essentially the whole nature of modern encryption, is that it's a one-way function. Easy to run this direction, but impossible to go vice versa. So anyone who challenged you, you could say, well, how would you be able to find any address that has a secret key that you're aware of that you can suddenly turn into a file of your choice. It has to go in this direction, starting with my file, which was part of the transaction seed, which was then used to create a secret key and ultimately a Bitcoin address. Mathematically, it's pretty sound, and then given the nature of the Bitcoin blockchain, this is not going away anytime soon. This website may go away, but the blockchain is here to stay. It's monitored by thousands of people and incredible processing power. So really a neat concept. Thanks again for the creation of it for the developers, and hope you find this useful.